Take a look at that white, foamy sludge floating in your pot. It's that thick, sticky residue that clings to your spoon every time you boil pasta for dinner. You see it, but you've probably never given it a second thought. That foam is actually starch escaping from pasta, so poorly made that it begins to disintegrate the moment it hits hot water. But what comes out with it is far worse than just a ruined meal. Lab tests from 2024, published by an independent food safety group, analyzed 13 packages of pasta sold in American supermarkets. Glyphosate was found in 10 of them, a staggering 10 out of 13. Glyphosate is a herbicide that the International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies as probably carcinogenic to humans. It finds its way into your pasta because farmers spray it on wheat just before the harvest to speed up the drying of the crops. This process is known as desiccation. The chemical then soaks into the grain, survives every stage of processing, and ultimately lands on your plate right alongside your sauce. While some international standards set the allowable limit at 0.1 milligrams per kilogram for durum wheat, experts continuously warn that these limits completely ignore what happens when small amounts accumulate in your body over months and years of eating contaminated food. The average American eats around 20 pounds of pasta per person annually. This adds up to millions of plates served every week, many of them to children, whose bodies are far less effective at dealing with toxins than in adults. If you want to discover which brands are the worst offenders on the shelf and which ones are genuinely safe, you need to stay with me. Give this a thumbs up and subscribe so this critical information can reach more kitchens across the USA. Only by working together can we compel our supermarkets to change. Ready? Let's dive in. Coming in at number 3 is a pasta whose structure seems to exist only on the label. Spaghetti di vella in the 1-pound package. You can find it in major American hypermarkets like Kroger and Walmart for around $2 a box. Di vella was founded in 1890 in the Apulia region of Italy, and they proudly display this heritage on every package. The problem, however, is that a founding date means absolutely nothing in a laboratory report. The 2024 tests detected glyphosate in roughly half of all the di vella samples that were analyzed. Apulia is one of Italy's primary regions for growing durum wheat, and spraying with glyphosate is a standard agricultural practice there, meaning when you buy this spaghetti, you are getting wheat from fields that are routinely subjected to chemical treatments. Let me put this in simple terms for you. Think of protein as the steel skeleton of a skyscraper. If that skeleton is too thin, the entire building will collapse. In pasta, protein acts as the scaffolding that holds the starch in place. And not enough protein means that scaffolding disintegrates in the boiling water. Customer reviews on American shopping portals like Amazon regularly mention that di vella overcooks easily and loses its shape. This is that cracking skeleton in action. Starch leaks out in massive amounts. The water turns as cloudy as milk, and your pasta transforms into something resembling wet cardboard. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, flags glyphosate as toxic to aquatic life and a potential cause of serious eye damage. For older adults, the risk is even greater, as these toxins can accumulate in bone tissue over time. For $2, it seems like a bargain, but your body is the one paying the difference. Coming in at number 2. Now we move from poor structure to something actively dangerous. Agnesi tagliolini, a 1-pound box. This thin egg pasta costs between $2 and $3, and you'll find it on shelves at major supermarkets like Kroger and Safeway all across the United States. Agnesi markets itself as authentic Italian quality, a brand dating all the way back to the 19th century. But laboratory results from a 2024 Food Safety News investigation detected glyphosate in Agnesi products. This pasta is imported directly from Italy, where intensive cultivation of durum wheat is heavily dependent on chemical treatments. Let me break it down in simple terms, explaining how this poison ends up in your tagliolini. The key word is desiccation. A farmer doesn't want to wait for the sun to dry the wheat naturally. Instead, he uses glyphosate as a chemical dryer. The crop is sprayed with the herbicide just before the harvest to kill the plant and artificially force it to dry out. The chemical substance is absorbed into the grain, and then it never, ever leaves. Studies from 2024 published in the journal Environmental Health Perspectives link glyphosate exposure to reduced fertility and hormonal disruptions. Research from Johns Hopkins University links long-term glyphosate accumulation with neurological damage. American families in cities like Chicago and Houston reach for this pasta, thinking the Italian name on the box guarantees safety. Agnese doesn't have an organic certification, which means no independent body is verifying whether any pesticide controls are even in place during production. Tests by consumer advocacy groups on similar pasta products have also detected nickel and mycotoxins, toxic compounds produced by mold growing on contaminated grain. Agnese's sales in the United States grew by 10% in 2025. According to Nielsen data, more and more people are buying a product with documented contamination. The packaging is paper, which helps the environment, but that paper box does absolutely nothing to filter the glyphosate out of the pasta inside. Before we get to number 1, do a quick test at home. The next time you cook pasta, look at the water after it's done. Does it stay clear, or does it turn into a cloudy, white soup? Type 1 in the comments if your water stays clear. Type 2 if it gets cloudy. That cloudy water means your pasta has no internal spine. And now prepare yourself because number 1 is going to sting. Combino Tagliatelle, a 1-pound box from Lidl. This is the one that hurts the most. Lidl operates hundreds of stores across the East Coast. Combino is their store brand, their everyday staple. It costs less than $2 for a 1-pound package, making it one of the cheapest pasta options on any shelf in the country. Families from Seattle to Miami toss it into their shopping carts every week for quick weeknight dinners, for kids' school lunches, and for Sunday family meals. Laboratory tests from 2024 detected glyphosate in 10 out of 13 tested packages of Combino. 10 out of 13 is a systematic pattern of contamination running through the entire supply chain. Let me break that down for you. Combino lists the wheat's origin as countries of the European Union and outside the European Union. This is the food industry's equivalent of a garbage bag. They mix wheat from wherever it's cheapest, from any farm, any country, and whatever pesticide regulations are in place there. You have zero visibility into what actually ended up in your package. Studies from a major American university show that U.S. consumers ingest roughly 20% more pesticide residue than the average in many other developed nations, partly due to imported raw materials, exactly like the ones in this pasta. Research published in a 2023 journal on occupational health links chronic low-dose exposure to glyphosate with thyroid dysfunction. Children are especially vulnerable because their smaller bodies absorb and store toxins at a higher rate. The Food and Drug Administration monitors food safety across the country, but product recalls are rare. In 2024, an organic pasta from a well-known health food brand was actually pulled from shelves due to pesticide contamination, proving that even products with an organic label can fail inspection. Combino doesn't even have an organic label. For less than $2 a box, it's simultaneously the cheapest pasta on the shelf and the most contaminated in the entire test. That price carries a cost you'll never see printed on your receipt. Take a breath. These facts are heavy, and they should be. But here's the good news. Safe options exist, and they are sitting on American store shelves right now. There are manufacturers for whom pasta is more than just a commodity. Here are 2 brands that didn't just pass the lab tests, they dominated them. First recommendation, Banza's lentil pasta in the 8-ounce box. This is an American brand you'll find in stores like Target and Whole Foods. Banza makes its pasta from lentils, which eliminates the entire glyphosate problem because lentil crops go through a completely different agricultural cycle than wheat. Third-party lab tests confirm this product is free from pesticide residues. The protein content is 20 grams per 100 grams, which is dramatically more than any wheat pasta on this list. To put it simply, buying cheap pasta is like trying to start a fire with a wet newspaper. It might flare up for a second, but it gives you nothing but smoke. A high-protein pasta is a solid oak log. It keeps you full 3 times longer, maintains stable blood sugar levels, and delivers real, nourishing energy. Banza also has a low glycemic index, making it a powerful option for anyone managing diabetes or blood sugar spikes. Nutritionists featured on sites like Healthline highly recommend this brand, especially for families. At around $4 for an 8-ounce box, it costs more per ounce than a generic store brand from Kroger, but you end up eating smaller portions because the protein density keeps you feeling full for so much longer. My second recommendation is the Jovial Organic Corn Gluten-Free Pasta in the 8-ounce box. This is a top-tier American organic brand you can find at stores like Whole Foods and Sprouts Farmers Market, as well as online. Its corn base means the pasta is naturally gluten-free, and the USDA organic certification guarantees that every single step, from the field to the box, is verified by independent inspectors. This means 0 glyphosate, 0 mycotoxins, and 0 mystery ingredients from unknown sources. Jovial was even ranked among the top 5 pasta products by a leading women's health magazine. The corn used in its production is 100% from organic sources, and the dedicated production line completely avoids any cross-contamination with wheat. This makes it significantly easier to digest and also lower in calories compared to traditional durum wheat pasta. Here are 3 rules to remember every single time you find yourself standing in the pasta aisle. First, the protein test. Check the nutrition facts label and look for at least 13 grams of protein per 100 gram serving. Anything below that number signifies a weak internal structure and excess starch that will just cloud up your cooking water. Second, the surface test. Look for the words bronze cut or the Italian phrase trafilata al bronzo printed on the packaging. This means the pasta was extruded through bronze dies instead of smooth, modern Teflon ones. This process gives the pasta's surface a rough, porous texture that perfectly grabs and holds on to any sauce you pair it with. Third, the color test. Take a look at the pasta through the little window on the bottom.